What's going on? It's Financial Trav, and today we have a super simple video. One of my homeboys, we were talking about it at the gym. Common sense, right? It's a common sense video. However, we're still going to get into it. So today we're going over why the old rule of 50, 30, 20, like your saving needs, wants versus like savings and investments, doesn't really work anymore. I wrote some of this out, so I'm gonna try to like get through it appropriately and make sure I'm not like taking up too much time, right? So, for many years, the 50, 30, 20 rule was like the gold standard, right? So, that's everyone's gold standard personal budgeting. Like if you're hitting the 50, 30, 20, you're nailing it. You're really doing a good job. You're a stand-up American. You're able to save. You're able to spend. You're able to do what you want and have an emergency fund, right? Which a lot of people, I think it's like 80% of people don't even have an emergency fund nowadays. It's crazy. But anyway, so let's get into it. So it worked well for many people, especially during the late 20th century when wages were relatively stable. Unlike now, you know what I mean? You can go work at a corporate job, make $20 an hour, and then make the same 20 working at McDonald's, or make the same 20 working at Walmart. Crazy, right? It's insane. The beauty of the rule was in its simplicity, given people's current wages. People had balance, a way to meet all their obligations, enjoy life, and still plan for the future, which we cannot do today. I cannot even stress how much people now, let's say, I just saw a billboard in Columbus, Ohio. A billboard in Columbus, Ohio. You can now rent to own houses on a billboard. $1,700 a month. Like $1,700 a month is the rent for a house. And I understand, like, if you're trying to rent or buy a house, like your mortgage may be higher, especially with interest rates. But I'm sitting at a 2.75. My house is a little bit under $300,000, and my mortgage is $1,300. So for somebody to rent a house and not gaining any equity for $1,700, like, and I know that in other states like New York or California, the rent is significantly higher, but to rent, like just renting for $1,700 is crazy. Like, anyway, let's get back into it. So what's changed, right? So housing prices in many cities have doubled or tripled. Example, I bought my house for a little bit under 300K, and I'm gonna say that I am well within the profit margin of getting a great return on investment when I sell this property. Add in the rising cost of healthcare, insurance, transportation, and food, right? All driven by inflation. And you're left with very little room. And that original 50% needs bucket has expanded to well above 60, some people 70, could even be 80 in some cases. And the 30% allocated to wants now feels like a luxury for many. And 20% target for saving or investment is some cases completely out of reach. Like, I've been there. When I was a firefighter, Louisville, Kentucky firefighter, I was not making enough money to pay my bills. My rent at the time was $1,100. I did not go out. I was just working overtime all the time, just always at work. I could not pay my bills unless I worked overtime as a firefighter in Louisville, Kentucky. Crazy. That's why financial experts propose an updated rule. So the ones today to fit the ever-changing landscape is looking more like 60, 10, 10, 10, 10, right? And 60 is on low end of needs. So in the revised model, 60% of your net income goes towards essential needs. And that's going to be like your housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, yada, yada, yada. Then you have 10% set aside for short-term savings, right? Short-term savings are things like, oh, my car broke down, excuse me. Or I was late last month on the bill, so I got extra money this month for the bill. I got 10% of it saving every single month. Another 10% is set up for long-term investments, which again, for a lot of people, like if you are not at that 60 and you're at that 70, you're not going to be able to use this 10% for long-term investment. So I can't even tell you how many people from where I came from that don't even understand long-term investments. Like, they don't understand buying high dividend yield stocks. It's mind-boggling. This is why this video is common sense to some, but not common sense to everybody. You know what I mean? It's a tough world we live in. It's a tough world to navigate, but we're gonna get through it. So let's keep going. And another 10% is gonna go toward debt repayment, student debt, loans, whatever you have out. Another 10% usually is going to debt, especially for people in my millennial era. The final 10% is reserved for discretionary spending, for wants. And again, if you're 60% in this model for your needs is higher than 60, or you're sitting at a 70 or 80, you're not going to be able to hit that 10% for wants, which a lot of people don't need to be spending money on wants anyway. If you can't afford the lifestyle you have, you don't need to be walking around with a Gucci bag, a Louis bag, a Prada glasses, none of that. If you can't afford it, don't pay it. You're going to end up a generation back. The shift in these budgeting models is more than just a reaction to inflation. It's reflective of deeper systemic challenges that we face. Wages have remained largely stagnant for most workers, while the cost of living, especially for housing and healthcare, has steadily climbed. Right? See the problem, see the correlation. Financial independence now requires more strategic planning, financial freedom, strategic planning, in most cases, and more creative budgeting, right? A lot of people are coming up with crazy schemes on how to budget. Like, I'll give you an example on how I budget. I have what's called I have three little things. I have the sneaky rabbit, the sneaky snake, and the sneaky beaver. The sneaky beaver, every single day, the sneaky beaver sends $2. Like, it's not even a lot, but every day of the week, sneaky beaver sends $2 to my savings account. Every day, every single day, sneaky beaver, $2. Sneaky rabbit, every time I get paid and the paycheck is above X amount of $1,000, $55 goes to my checking account, right? And then the sneaky snake, every single time I get paid, any type of deposit hits my account, $100 goes to the investment account. Then I have to actually manually go in and buy whatever high yield dividend stock I want to buy. Most of my stuff is in S&P 500, QQQ, or SPY. Somewhere along there is where my funds are at. But creative budgeting, right? Because if you never have it, you won't miss it. It's, and it's still there. If you have a brokerage account or individual money market mutual, whatever you have, you can always sell your stocks, wait a couple days for your cash to be cleared, and then pull it out. So it's not like it's there. So I technically use my long-term investments as a savings account, because I still have access to those via Chase Bank. Everybody's different. Maybe use Charles Schwab, maybe use something else. But yeah, so ultimately what I'm getting at with this video, which is not common sense to a lot of people, because there are uninformed people, which is crazy, but it happens. The 50-30 rule today is not really there for the lower middle class. It's just not there, right? So we just need to acknowledge the reality and set real goals. We need to set real tangible goals for our finances. My guy at the gym, six-figure guy, big guy, big strong guy. He does not understand how he can't save. We sit down and we talk. His house costs more than mine. His interest rate's higher than mine. His mortgage is obviously way higher than mine. You know what I mean? So that goes down to, did you need a house that big? Because you could have found, needs and wants, and just going down a whole rabbit hole. But, just the reality we face. And this is Simple Finance with Trav. Thank you.